Hey everyone, I'm Anya Esma, and today we're going to talk about numerology in tarot. As a tarot reader and a shadow worker, I really like this topic, and I will go through the numbers 1 through 10. And I love talking about numerology, especially in relation to tarot, because I think it's very hands-on. Now, just as a side note, this is a reshoot of a video I did before. Same numerology video. I will say almost the same stuff. However, the audio quality is a lot better. Many people were complaining about that. That was 4 years ago, a long time ago, in the beginning of my YouTube journey. So now I've come with some new ideas, some new insight, and also better quality. So get ready, get your notes out, and we will talk about the numbers 1 through 10 in tarot, both in the Minor Arcana and also in the Major Arcana, but I will focus more on the Minor Arcana and its journeys that you go through. I will in the future, or maybe once I upload this, I will have already done it, make a video about the Fool's Journey. That's the Major Arcana whole path from 0 to 21. But for now, we will focus on the numerology 1 through 10. If you want more detailed card info, you can look at all of my other videos about chord cards, about single cards. In this video, I'm not, of course, going to speak about each and every single card 1 through 10, because that is 40 cards in the Minor Arcana, and that would be way too much to cover. So I will just speak about the energy of the cards, and then you have to apply that yourself to the different suits and to the elemental energies that are in the suits. So let's start with number 1. The ones in tarot are also called aces, and they are basically raw energy. They are a dose of whatever energy that suit has. So with the cups, it would be an energy of intuition, maybe emotion, social engagement. For the wands, it would be willpower or creativity, for example, and it's just a raw dose of that. Also, the ones are representative of the potential of the whole suit. So all the numbers 1 through 10 are contained within the 1 as well, energetically. And I will talk about that once I get to the card 10 once more. That also means that aces are not concrete. They are not something concrete that is happening. They are just opportunity. They are the seed being planted of more things happening in your journey and in that journey through the suit, whatever suit you drew. Now, it's not quite the beginning, it's not quite the first push, it's what comes before the beginning. It's the raw energy of the womb, for example. It's like being charged up with the energy of that suit. So it also starts for receptivity for that new kind of energy. So if you draw the Ace of Wands, maybe it's about you having to be more receptive for passion, for creativity, for spirituality, for the energy of willpower, for getting your will to become manifest. Now let's get to the twos. The twos are the beginning of the path that the ace started. The ace was the raw energy, and the two is you're setting your first foot on the ground in relation to that energy. So the twos are often related to dualities. They are about bringing together opposites. For example, you having to make a decision between two different or more opportunities. Like with the Two of Wands, you know that the person sort of looks like they have to decide what to do. With the Two of Cups, it's about investing in another energy, investing in duality and not deciding. It's about bringing both together, even though they seem opposed, for example. And the twos in general also stand for preparing for the journey ahead, whether that is to make a decision, to accept duality, to take a path, choose a path. All of that is the energy of the twos. It is often you having to decide how to use the energy of the ace card. Now that doesn't mean you always have to draw the ace and the two together. It just means if the two is alone, you know that there's an energy of, for example, financial gain, like in the Pentacles, and you now have to decide what to do with that and how to invest it. The 2s can also be a time of gestation, a time of preparing for the jump, essentially. It's a time of how you want to use the energy that you were given. Now, the 3s are the first sort of glimpse of stability, but not quite yet. It's more the jump. You prepared the jump in the 2s, and the energy of the 3s is very much you've made a decision. Now you're starting to use that energy. So the 3 stands for a small completion in this journey. You've completed the first decision and now it's time to go. You're ready to create something, you have the basis and the foundation laid in your mind, and you are now growing from that foundation that was planted before. So that mostly means that the 3 stands for growth. The 3 stands for decision made, we're growing from here, you're ready to engage with the energy of that suit. Now the 4s in tarot are much more about stability. You know, it's like a chair that has 4 legs. So with all this energy that you invested in the 3, you have now reached a place of stability, but also possibly a place of stagnation. For example, if you look at the 4 of coins or pentacles, whatever you want to call it, you see that it is related to accumulating money or wealth or material goods, and thus blocking your energy. So the energy of that person is blocked by the money that is in front of their body. So they are not receiving anymore. So you kind of have this trade-off in the 4s of stagnation and stability. So the 4s are the first kind of call that maybe it is time to build the next bridge rather than resting where you are right now and sort of accepting that you've created stability. But it can also be positive if you are insecure about something or you have a spread laid out that has a lot of insecurity in it and the 4 of discs is at the end. It's a pointer that there will be security in the future and there will be stability. So it means that the 4 is really the first completion and stability that you've reached. Now the 5s stand for the disruption of that stability that was built from 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 5 always represents a challenge that comes up because stability cannot last forever. It's kind of like a tower moment. If you think of the tower in the Major Arcana, you build, and then at the end you realize the foundation wasn't that good, and then it gets toppled over. And that's sort of the energy of the 5. Not as dramatically as the tower, even though if you look at the 5 of Pentacles, obviously it's very dramatic, at least dramatic imagery. And this is now the challenge that you have to deal with, that your stability is over for now, and that you always have to expect something new coming along and something that you have to deal with that you may not have expected. So the outside stability you've built is not quite enough, and that's what the 5 is all about. It's about trials and tribulations. It's about crises that you have to deal with. Either they are current or they were in the past. And you have to get to know yourself better and build a better foundation for the growth that is coming then after the 5. I like comparing the 5 to the sprouting leaves that a plant grows, because the sprouting leaves, usually the first 2 leaves, look completely different from what the rest of the leaves later look like, and they lose the sprouting leaves before they can grow into a big whatever plant that you're growing. So the 5 is sort of like that. Those 2 leaves, they get lost, that you lose a certain part of yourself maybe that you thought you needed in order to stay stable, but now you're growing even bigger because you're not relying on that anymore. So as you can see, the 5 is going a lot deeper already than the 1 through 4. So those sprouting leaves that used to help you, if you were a plant, use photosynthesis and grow and get what you need, now have to be lost so you can grow even bigger. Now I want to say the cards numbers 1 through 5 are a lot easier to understand than whatever is coming now, because what's coming now are the real challenges, the internal struggles as well, and all of the 1 through 5 can be seen more as outward cards, whereas the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are much more complex because they deal with internal struggles a lot of the time that come once you have built the first easy half of your path, and then comes the real challenges. So the 6s in tarot are about the renewal of the way you relate to the outside world. So there's a larger cosmos that you are realizing that you are a part of, and you now have to find a new way to relate to that after your stability has been destroyed in the fives. The sixes are therefore about exchanging with others, getting help from others. For example, with the Six of Swords, you have this idea of getting someone's help to get out of a situation. It stands for being aware that even if you've gone through a crisis, there's help around you. Look at the Six of Pentacles as well, where balance is recreated, whereas in the five it's just despair. So the six is a first glimpse that you're not an island, you're not alone. Six is about community, and that there's a new way for you to relate to the outside world, to relate to community. And it's a good idea to reflect on how you want to use that in order to create your personal stability again. So with the sevens, the meanings vary quite a bit from each suit to each suit, but what they all have in common is that it's about deepening your understanding, your spiritual understanding, and deepening the understanding of what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it. So after you've now started relating to community in the six, the seven is sort of like, now focus on yourself again and make a decision how you want to continue now that you've learned so much from the failure or the tribulations in the five, and then the new perspectives in the six. So for example, with the Seven of Discs, you have everyday life kicking in, waiting for results, not having fruits ready for taking whenever you want, but having to have the patience. That is what the Seven of Pentacles is about. With the Seven of Cups, it's about the decision you have to make where you want to invest your time and energy. And the Seven of Swords is about having to rethink how you want to use your resources. It's about either taking resources from somewhere you didn't expect, or it's about people taking your resources, and now you have to deal with that. And then lastly, with the Seven of Wands, you have the idea of having to defend your position, whereas with the Six of Wands, you had a feeling of community and of you being the leader. People now turn against you in a way. So the Seven of Wands is where the community relation becomes more complex, and you have to stand on your own 2 feet again, rather than relying on the community around you. So it's a way of not necessarily dealing with the outside world in a very immediate way, but more with dealing with yourself and reflecting how you want to go on, what your next step is, and then taking a stand. So you can kind of see a reflection of the two, where you had to decide how to invest your energy in the seven. It's about that decision again, how you're going to continue your path, what you're going to defend, what you're going to let go of, what you are going to grow, like with the Seven of Pentacles. That's the decisions that the sevens relate to. With number 8, we have power and we have motion. This is a very active card, just like the 3. It's a little bit of an echo once again, where it's about grasping opportunities, not dwelling on the past. So in the 8 of Cups, you have this beautiful picture of a person walking away from empty cups, maybe towards full cups, or away from full cups and towards empty ones, nobody knows. But walking away from those cups and going, having power, having motion. You can't tell where she walks, but you see that it's a higher goal signified by the mountains. So it's sort of a pilgrimage that she's going on. And that's really what the 8s are about, to face your fears and face your desires and go after those desires rather than going after those fears. Basically building a new ground for the future, going through an energetic metamorphosis, and putting what you learned from the 5, 6, and 7 now into action. So of course it depends on the suit what exactly the meaning is. If you look at the 8 of Swords, it's very constricted, it's limited. However, the person is not really tied down. There are just ribbons around the person. They could get out of that. They could go past the swords without being harmed, but they cannot see that. So the 8 is also a point where it's super different in the suits. That's why I'm saying the 7, 8, 9, and 10 are different and very difficult to understand, because each suit has a different manifestation of that energy. So while it is about power and being dynamic and making moves, in the sword suit, that energy is constricted. So still it relates to motion, just that there's no motion. And so the Eight of Swords, for example, is about seeing that you have agency, even if you're unsure about how you should proceed. So it's still about power and about motion. And with the Nines, we have a calmer energy again. It's about reflecting about what worked, what didn't work in this whole journey. So it's asking you to reflect on cycles that you might be caught in. It's asking you to reflect on what does or does not work in relation to the element. So for example, what works emotionally for you, what doesn't work, or with the swords, which words or thoughts are good for you, which ones are not. So it's about that kind of reflection. So the Nine of Swords is also about dealing with failure or feelings of failure, past experiences that have scarred you, getting over that, while the Nine of Cups is more about celebrating what you've achieved and seeing what you've achieved, just like the Nine of Pentacles, and seeing the fruits of your labor. The 10 is then about completion, about seeing that you are fully equipped to take the next step of this journey, because when one journey ends, the next one starts, and we will talk about that in a second. It's the ultimate metamorphosis. If you have a 10, it means that you are at the end of a certain process, mental, physical, whatever. The 10 is also about accepting what you can do and what you cannot do. So let's see, we look at the journey of the Wands, where the person has fought to be at the top, and now they're at the top and they're alone, and it doesn't feel that good, and they cannot carry all of the wands on their own. That's the lesson of the 10 of Wands. So it's not necessarily a positive transformation. The wands are all about alienating everyone around you and then standing at the top alone. And the swords are about not being able to maybe deal with all the stuff that has happened to you, with the words that people have said to you, with the judgment that people gave you, or with the judgment that you gave to others, and having to now deal with that because it's at a breaking point. So the 10 is also a card of thinking, was it worth it? Have you reached what you wanted to reach? What mistakes did you maybe make on the journey? And it's the last stage before going into the personalized energy of the court cards. I also have a whole series about the court cards, so do watch that. People love it. People watch it all the time. It has a lot of views. I will link the first video and then the different videos of the 4 suits below this one, so you can watch it afterwards if you want. Another important detail about the 10s is that, you know, if you have 2 numbers, this is the only card that has 2 numbers. It has a 1 and a 0 because it's a 10, not like 1 through 9, which are single digit numbers. If you have 2 digits like 11, 12, 33, 10, whatever, you can add them with themselves to get another mirror image or another side of the coin. So with a 10, you have 1 plus 0, which equals 1. So we always have to consider how the 10 relates back to the 1. And that's what I mentioned as well in the beginning when I was speaking about the number 1. And it's also containing the whole suit and the whole process in it, because the 1 contains the 10 and the other way around. Mostly the 10 contains the 1, because the end of a process always contains the seed for a new process. So while it is about completion, it can also be about starting another journey in this same area. In my original video, I also had an exercise, which I will not go into too much detail, but if you do want to have a fun little exercise with numbers, you can calculate your personality card and soul card, and also your yearly card, by just adding the numbers together of your birthday. So for example, if you were born 4th of February 1980, let's say, you would add 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 8 plus 0, 1980. You know what I mean. You add all the numbers together. God damn it. So you add all of them together, and whatever the number is that you get at the very end, because if you add this together, you might get something like, I don't know, 82. So then you do 8 plus 2, and then you have the 10, then you do 1 plus 0, and you have the 1. So you have 10 and 1. Or if it's 93, you add 3 plus 9, that's 11. And then you add 1 plus 1, that's 2. And this is how you get your soul card and your personality card. For me, it's both the same. It's the 7, it's the Chariot. I love that that's my soul card. I'm actually wearing the Chariot necklace incidentally. I didn't do that on purpose. But yes, so that's a fun little exercise you can do. And think about how you relate to that card. The Chariot obviously is the major arcana. So here we have the major arcana playing into the whole numerology game if you are adding your birthday together. And also you can calculate your yearly card by taking your birthday and the current year. So 4 plus 2 if you're born on 4th of February, plus in this case 2023, so plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3. And then you have your yearly card. So there's a lot of fun you can have with numerology. I hope that this was insightful and helpful for you in your tarot journey. If you have questions or suggestions, do let me know. I hope that it made you more confident in reading tarot, like most of my videos hopefully do. And I would love if you subscribe if you don't know this channel yet, and also take a look at my other videos like the court cards video, the single card tarot videos where I talk about each card in the tarot deck, and so on. I have a lot of content. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you very, very soon.